All right, I've got a couple big announcements for you guys. Number one, PFF's player prop tool is now available on the web for all PFF Plus subscribers. And number two, PFF Plus is 40% off right now. If you use the promo code BLACKFRIDAY, you get all of the same data, grades, and analytics that all 32 NFL teams use, all 136 FBS teams use. As well, you get access to our 2026 NFL mock draft simulator, that world-class player prop tool that can help you nail all of your bets, and of course, the best fantasy football tools on the planet as well. Again, 40% off PFF Plus right now when you use the promo code BLACKFRIDAY. Oregon beating Washington 26-14. Number 6 Oregon winning the border war against Washington. A lot of Oregon fans, Dalton, got mad at me in the comment section for our preview saying it's not the Cascade Clash. I saw a lot of articles that called it the Cascade Clash. Like I refer to it as that. They don't call it that. So all right, I'll call it the Border War.
It's just made up then.
Yeah, wow. I guess so. So not the Cascade Clash, the Border War. Oregon winning this one over Washington. The highest grade player for Oregon was Dante Moore, the quarterback, of course, 85.9 grade for him. He's had an outstanding year all year. He's now one of the 5 highest graded quarterbacks in the country this season. Jaden Kennedy, the corner, talk about him later, 83.1. Jeremiah McClellan, the wide receiver, 79.9. Dylan Thieneman, the safety, 78.2. Jamari Johnson, the tight end, 72.7. And linebacker Jerry Mixon, 69.3. For Washington, their highest grade players in the loss, Adam Muhammad, the running back, 82.1. Devin Bryant, the linebacker, 79. Bryce Butler, the D-tackle, 75.9. Carver Willis, the offensive tackle, 73.6. X-Ray Alexander, 72.5. And Damon Williams Jr., 46.8. Dalton, what told the story in this game?
I think it's very clear at this point. And what's funny is a 77.6 pass blocking grade is very good, right, for an entire game, for an entire unit. For Oregon, I think that's their 4th lowest of the season, and yet that's still just outstanding. Dante Moore only pressured 3 times all day. Only 2 pressures charged to the offensive line. He was sacked twice, one of them late in the play, one on a corner blitz. No sacks charged to the offensive line. If you don't find a way, and look, Oregon's the best pass-protecting team in the country. If you don't find some way to disturb Dante Moore, if you don't have some elite pass rusher and elite front 7 like the way that Indiana did when they went into Oregon and beat them, Oregon's going to beat you. That's just what it comes down to. If you have a team with a lackluster pass rush, I don't know how you're beating this team with the way Dante Moore is throwing the ball right now, and also the way that they've run the ball with Noah Whittington and Jordan Davis and all those guys, and the way Dan Lanning's defense is playing, holding Washington to 14 points in this game. But I think that's really the biggest problem when you play against Oregon, and whoever gets to play them in these playoffs, that has to be, look, we got to find a way to get after this kid. The problem is their offensive line is so good. And he's been so good in clean pockets throwing the football all season. I know it's been a theme. It's something we talk about all the time. But Washington just had no answer. They had no answer. And even when they tried to blitz him, how about a 90.4 passing grade against the blitz? In a year that maybe isn't so loaded with Heisman candidates, we'd be talking about Dante Moore on that level too. Because aside from the Indiana game, he's played on that level. But a big part of it is that this offensive line, Isaiah World and these guys on this offensive line, they have protected him better than anybody. And that, to me, is going to be whoever they play in this first round or beyond. That is going to be the matchup I think we have to look at. Is just, do you have any way of disturbing Dante Moore in the pocket? And if your answer is no, you're in for a long day. Because Dante Moore, I think, was it you that brought up to me at some point, Dante, kind of a little bit of C.J. Stroud in him?
Yeah.
I might be in on that one. And Stroud, you remember at Ohio State, was kind of the same way. Look, we don't know what he looks like necessarily under pressure until that last Georgia game. Then we knew what it looked like. But so many clean pockets, but he'll dice you up. He's just surgical, and he was surgical in this game. The first reason, though, is that this offensive line, again, the best pass-protecting unit in college football this year, as they were 2 years ago with Bo Nix at the helm.
Yeah, Dante Moore has been phenomenal this year. My central story in this game is the passing difference in this game is Oregon's had one of the best run games in college football this year. Washington shut that down in this one, the only 2.9 yards per carry allowed. The difference was, though, that Dante Moore in the passing game thoroughly outclassed Damon Williams Jr. and Washington's passing game. Oregon averaged .384 EPA per pass. Washington, negative .379, 9.9 yards per attempt for Oregon, 4.3 yards per attempt for Washington. Dante Moore, 84 passing grade. Damon Williams, 41 passing grade, about half of that in this one. Again, like I mentioned, Dalton, Oregon only gave up a 7% pressure rate. Washington gave up a 32% pressure rate. Dante Moore proved he is capable of carrying this elite offense with that offensive line with him. And Oregon proved in this game as well they have one of the best secondaries in college football, too. Got our guy, Damon Williams Jr. For Heisman in the chat saying, no bueno in this game. Yeah, it wasn't a great game for the Huskies, but, man, Dante Moore, I would argue right now, we're going to do our Heisman top 5 later on in the show. He's not in either of our top 5. If we extended it to Heisman top 6, I probably would have Dante Moore 6th on my list.
I could see that, absolutely. I mean, he's just, again, aside from the Indiana game, he's just played darn near flawless football. And you look at, God, the fear to make just these tight window throws, right? Especially, we saw it against Iowa with the big throw he made, but this game, he just came out firing. He just understands where he wants to go with the football. And aside from one turnover-worthy play early, he was just outside. He's my most impressive guy. I mean, yeah. I don't know how much more we could say about him in this segment, but he's one of the best quarterbacks in college football. He's in the running. You've mentioned it for QB1 in this year's draft. If he comes out, it looks like it'll be either him or Mendoza as that first guy, right? But I mean, this Oregon team and what Dan Lanning's built here in the trenches, I think, on both sides of the ball, with the quarterback and the way that Dante has developed, the secondary, Dylan Thieneman's been as advertised as we've been advertising for a long time. I mean, Jaden Kennedy with a big play in this. I mean, what is it, Brandon Finney, the true freshman out there at corner. I mean, they've just got so many playmakers at all levels of their team. This is going to be a dangerous out, and I think their situation gets interesting. You know that I think a big suspenseful part that I'm looking for in this week's rankings is Oregon going to be ahead of Texas A&M? If they are, then all of a sudden they're number 5. And if they're sitting at number 5, they're looking at, hey, either Georgia or Texas Tech loses, you're next in line. And all of a sudden, Oregon went from, kind of this afterthought after they beat Indiana, they're not going to the Big Ten title game, to, Max, is there a chance we get 3 Big Ten teams with a bye?
Wow.
For all the talk about the SEC, could you have 3 in the top 4 there if say, I don't know, Texas Tech were to lose and Georgia were to win? Because I think the loser of Ohio State, Indiana should stay in the top 4. I'm in that.
Yeah, agreed.
Could you get 3 of them? Man.
Yeah, you could. The way the committee is ranked it right now, I probably wouldn't put Oregon in the top 4. We'll get to my rankings later on in the show. But the way the committee's ranked them right now, yes, absolutely possible.
Yeah. I mean, that's something that I think needs to be thought about. That the suspense for Oregon is really on the good side if they're going to stay, if they're ranked ahead of Texas A&M and Oregon is 5 and say A&M is 6. I think that's a big point of suspense right here for both of those teams and really for how the whole landscape could be at the top there.
Yeah, we'll get to my rankings later on in the show and how I think it shakes out right now. But yeah, Dante Moore, who I would argue right now is QB1 in the draft. Gun to your head, if you had to take a quarterback, first quarterback taken in the draft, who would you take?
Admittedly, I'm a little worried about this matchup with Ohio State for Mendoza. I think it gets a lot clearer after this week. I would probably go Dante as well, but this is the big game to me for Mendoza. Right. And obviously, in a couple days, we're going to go over that. I think you're giving me that side of the ball.
If you want it, you can take it.
All right, let's do it. We're going to talk about that. Mendoza versus Ohio State. It doesn't get any bigger than that.
Yeah, I can't wait. Jaden Kennedy, who was the highest graded non-Dante Moore player for Oregon in this game, he was phenomenal, I thought, in this one too. And lights out in that secondary, 86.1 coverage grade, 1 catch allowed on 4 targets for only 9 yards. He also had an interception and a forced incompletion. So Jaden Kennedy, 1 catch allowed, interception, forced incompletion. He had more plays on the football than allowed catches in this game. A 0.0 passer rating allowed by Jaden Kennedy in this one as well. He's a former Tulane corner, transferred to Ole Miss, then transferred to Oregon this year. Major reason why Oregon has a top 10 coverage grade in all of college football, one of the best secondaries in the country. Jaden Kennedy has been great for Oregon in that secondary this year.
A couple more guys I want to shout out just because Oregon's had all sorts of receiver injuries. Think about that. They're still winning these ball games like this without DeCorian Moore, without Gary Bryant. But look at the way Malik Benson steps up with a 100-yard game. Jeremiah McClellan with 79 yards. Jamari Johnson, lately it's been Kenyon Sadiq in the spotlight, right? But their other tight end, Jamari Johnson, was really good, 60 yards in this game as well. So you look at the depth now that this Oregon team has in this receiving core and the way these guys are playing, and they got 2 good tight ends. You get all of a sudden a couple weeks, get Decorian Moore back healthy, get Gary Bryant back healthy. I'll tell you what, this team might be the dark horse to make a deep run in this thing. I know Ohio State, Indiana, and probably Georgia are going to get a lot of love from a lot of people making their brackets, but don't forget about this Oregon team because they're absolutely loaded.
Yeah, hopefully Decorian Moore can come back from his injury for the playoff too. But yeah, this is a really good Oregon team right now, and now they're going to the playoff once again after taking down Washington in the border war, not the Cascade Clash.
Maybe the one advantage for them, you always want to play for your conference title, but maybe the one advantage for Oregon to not playing this week is the ability to get healthy now, to have 2.5, 3 weeks to go and get healthy now and just go. Because if they get this receiving core and you get Decorian Moore back healthy, knowing what he can do on the field, and Gary Bryant too, who's also their primary punt returner, this team gets dangerous. They're really dangerous, and I don't think there's one singular way necessarily to beat them. You just have to be as good as a team like Indiana was earlier this season.
Yep. Oregon taking down Washington